Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at another rank 1 in the world team here from Tetsuo with the Shadow Nidoqueen, which is definitely an interesting one here. And we're going to test this team out today with the Say-Swap, I would say, of Azumarill. I guess you kind of don't want to Say-Swap if you don't have to, because, like, yeah, you kind of want to realign your Pokemon in the back. Having the Lickitung on the lead being one of the best neutral Pokemon in the game is kind of nice for that reason. Here we're going to get countered by the Jellicent. Not really a great matchup in the beginning, but let's see what we can still do here. Shadow Ball coming through, gonna do some decent damage, but we can still go for our Play Rough, which is going to do some nice damage as well against the opponent. But as we're going to see here, the opponent gonna go ahead and go for the Shadow Ball, which is gonna do a ton of damage, just not enough to knock us out, but they can still farm us down. We can farm them down. Now they're going to have the Bastion in the back, and we have to hope that our Shadow Nidoqueen in the back can deal something here. But we're going to encounter here the MEWeedle. We are still in a little bit of a lower elo range, by the way, which you maybe saw as well, because I did like a lot of streams last week, of course, for the Catch Cup, where I did spin the wheel, and so we're still a little bit of a lower elo, but we try to still gain some elo right now again for the end of the season, and this team definitely worked out a little bit better there for it. But tomorrow there's actually going to be another team that's coming up which worked out better than this one, which you definitely kind of want to see maybe for the final season climb, might be something for you. But here we're now going to have the Bastion coming back in. I decided to swap out because the opponent had some energy stored, and I don't know if I would have been able to go for the Earth Power on time. We have to hit the opponent with an Earth Power. So as you can see, we can go for the Power Whip here. This is going to do some decent damage, and we will be able to just hopefully they're going to try to knock us out with a charge move, because this would allow us to just go for an Earth Power and make this matchup a little bit quicker. But the opponent just decides to try their best. Does not really help them. Even if they're 100 energy, there's no way of them outspeeding me to an Earth Power. So yeah, or like to their Flamethrower, of course. But yeah, the Earth Power is coming through, gonna get the knockout, and we can move on to the next one. And next game coming up, we're going to have the Gligar in the lead. This is kind of okay for us. We kind of want to have the Gligar, of course, against our Azumarill, which is running Ice Beam as well as Play Rough. So it's still a fine matchup because we don't want to have it against the Nidoqueen. We're going to be able to just go ahead and go for some Body Slams with our Lickitung here as the opponent decides to go for the Dig, doing some decent damage, but we can still even survive another one. And again, you kind of want to try to align your Pokemon with the lead here. That's trying to play the lead out if possible, so you can align yourself later on. Here we're going to get out the MEWeedle. You see me not even swapping out, because I can go ahead and go for the Power Whip, which does a little bit more damage than the Body Slam there. So I can now swap out into my Azumarill, which can resist the Fast Move as well as can take the Charge moves, unlike the Nidoqueen in the back. And let's see what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be, again, the worst possible Pokemon that I could imagine, which is going to be the Jellicent. And this is the thing as well, that if you play rank 1 in the world teams in different kind of elo ranges, here I think it's like 2,400 or something at the end of the day, you're going to encounter different Pokemon. Like, I doubt that this player really encountered any Jellicents in the elo range they played it in, so this team is not really designed to deal with the Jellicent, which is something that is kind of normal for those kind of things, but you kind of have to consider it. Like, look at the meta that you're going to encounter and then think about, okay, is this team now actually working out for the meta that I see? Where are like the issues with it? How can I play around it? This is like the kind of thing that you kind of have to always do when you see some kind of teams, also from like high elo, because you just see different Pokemon. Like here, which I have to say as well, I don't know if it's in this video or if it was in the other one, but like I caught also a lot more Steelix than I was seeing like higher up before, like basically the season changed to the Catch Cup there, which was a little bit awkward. So here we're going to actually lose this battle. And next battle coming up, we're going to have the Alolan Sandslash, which sadly is running the Powder Snow, the fast move, which is good for my Azumarill, but really bad for the rest of my team, so I decided to just go ahead and swap out into my Azumarill. And like this, I can try to even snipe them maybe with like a potential Hydro Pump here. Of course, we just have Play Rough, but let's see if the opponent wants to shield this move up or not. This is going to do some decent damage still if it's going to hit, but let's see here, it does actually hit there, so we're gonna get them low. They're still staying in here, still going for their moves, and again, the fast move is like single resisted here, which is going to be fine. Our fast move is neutral, while our charge move is single resisted, and their charge move is neutral. So it's kind of a similar matchup here, but I can just let this move go through at this point. I can just go for the full farm down, basically with my Lickitung. They are gonna go ahead and go for another move here, most likely the Drill Run. It's actually the Ice Punch, okay? So we can just go for the full farm down. We have a shield advantage, which is kind of nice. Let's see what's coming in next. It's going to be the Quagsire, and they decide to swap out now into the Gligar. Gligar is, again, a little bit of a trickier one here, because our Azumarill is gone. Our Lickitung is kind of neutral, but we kind of need our Lickitung for the opponent's Quagsire, because Quagsire is double weak to the grass typing here of Power Whip, but the rest is going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm forced to basically swap out into my Nidoqueen here, I'm forced to use a shield onto the dig, and I'm forced to go for a Poison Fang here in order to try to get the final shield or the knockout against the opponent. But still, this game is of course not over yet, especially as the opponent still can go ahead and go for a charge move. We can let this Aerial Ace go through, and we have to hope that the opponent throws eventually, and they throw basically immediately, which is really good for us, because now we can just go safely for 2 Power Whips. We can outspeed the opponent even towards that, and a double super effective Power Whip should be hopefully enough to knock out the opponent's Quagsire here, but let's see, the Power Whip is coming through, and this is going to be game. Let's move on to the next game. We're going to encounter here the Whimsicott against us. Whimsicott is going to run Charm here, which is not really what you usually would want to run on this Pokemon. Like nowadays, like Charm is not an issue. Like Charm can still function well on the Whimsicott. Nowadays, people are running Fairy Wind on it just because you can get to the Moonblast a little bit faster. And Moonblast is a very solid charge move for this Pokemon, which is also part Fairy type, but like the difference between Charm as well as the Fairy Wind is just like depends on what really the person wants to have here. Honestly, this is going to be a fun matchup for you guys to watch, so I just had to put it in here just because it is kind of funny. So let's take a look at this. They're gonna go for the player off. Of course, we don't have a super effective move, but the opponent has, for whatever reason, they're actually running the Solar Beam on their Ninetales, which I then just, okay, say, take it. Take the matchup here. Good job there. A fun move to play. Of course, I know that this Pokemon learns that, but like it is literally the third choice for the secondary charge move. Like you would all or more go for like Overheat first, or actually the fourth choice. You either go for Overheat, Psyshock, or you would go for Scorching Sands nowadays, as this Pokemon now learns it. So I did not expect it at all, but also this is going to allow the opponent now to have a great matchup in the back with their Politoed here, and they're going to survive with basically 1 HP, as you're going to see exactly here, and they can still go for a charge move. So while this was kind of embarrassing for me to lose against the normal Ninetales and the Politoed, congrats to the opponent hitting that Solar Beam there. Next opponent going to run a Golisopod in the lead. This is usually a lead that you're going to be able to win because the opponent has also, like you, a fast move that is going to be part Ghost type, but you are Normal type, which is going to double resist this one, so it doesn't really do any damage with the fast move, so you only really have to care too much about the charge moves here. Charge moves going to still chunk quite a bit, but you're going to be able to get out of this matchup for sure as the winner, no matter what the opponent going to do here. If they're going to use a shield, you're going to be fine. If they don't use a shield, you're going to be fine. Let's see, they're going to use a shield, so you're just going to mirror that. You can farm them all the way down, and so you're going to get out of this matchup with some energy stored. So let's see what's coming in. It's going to be the Carbink, and honestly, I make a mistake here. Like, again, he could have played this better than I do here. I decided to swap out into my Nidoqueen, which is, of course, the super effective Earth Power. But for me to hit a super effective Earth Power, I should also go for the Earth Power. But I decided to go for the Poison Fang, trying to debuff the opponent's defense so I can maybe farm them down and get out of this matchup with a ton of energy. But as you're going to see here, it's just barely not enough, or like not fast enough, in order to knock them out before they can go for another charge move. But I'm still going to get out of this matchup with a ton of energy. And let's see if this is going to help us out for the backline here. We're going to encounter a Gligar in the back. And this is actually going to be fairly decent for me because we know we're going to have the Azumarill. Azumarill is going to be great against Gligar. We are going to be able to go ahead and debuff the opponent even further, going to get them lower. They decide to swap out, which is normal, but now they still have to deal with an Azumarill with a Gligar, and you're going to see here the issue with Gligar as well. If you have a very bulky Pokemon which is kind of neutral against you, like your charge moves are not going to hit too much anymore. We can still go for an Ice Beam. The opponent is going to decide to shield this move up, but as you're going to see here, the opponent decides to forfeit. Next game coming up, a horrible lead for us, so we have to swap out basically to our Nidoqueen here, and luckily the opponent decides to swap out into an Abomasnow, a Pokemon that I barely even see in the open grading anymore, but it's going to be a little bit of a tough matchup actually, because they're going to outspeed me by quite a bit now. Back in the day, you were able to go for the Poison Fang basically after 5 Poison Jabs. Now it's 6 Poison Jabs, so like for the opponent's Abomasnow, it's 5 and then 4 fast moves to get to a charge move. So we're sadly gonna get out of this matchup with a shield at disadvantage, but we at least can realign and we can align our Azumarill against the opponent's Mandibuzz here, which is going to be okay for me as I can now go ahead and try to knock them out there, but they're going to have a Clodsire in the back. And I decide to try to catch a move here onto our Lickitung, which works out fairly well. Lickitung, again, is the best matchup here for the Clodsire because Clodsire is of course, a poison type Pokemon, so they might run Sludge Bomb. which would be a little bit difficult for me to deal with my Azumarill. But also, of course, that Clodsire is going to be just a little bit of a better matchup for the Lickitung compared to the Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz would be resisting the fast move here, everything is neutral. So this is looking a little bit better for me. The opponent decides to swap out though, which I really did not enjoy here. But I can still try to go for maybe a play rough against them. Let's see, we're gonna be able to go ahead and get some extra energy. And I can now go for the play rough onto the CMP tire. And this was a really bad choice by me because I was like, no, maybe I'm not going to be able to even knock them out anymore afterwards, but I decided to undercharge so I can try to go for the full farm down. But of course I'm still going to get to another move here, but at least I'm going to have enough to get to a Hydro Pump against the opponent's Clodsire, which is not swapping in. I can still go for a charge move here, and for whatever reason I go for the play rough. I think they still have a shield left, right? Let's see, they exactly still have a shield left, so I had to get all the energy before. Please don't have Sludge Bomb, they have Earthquake, and like this, I'm going to be able to survive this one, and I can still go for a player off, which is going to get the knockout. And so we can move on into the next game. Let's see who's coming up next. We're going to have the Steelix and Elite, as said before as well. Steelix was really common, and here you're going to try to stay in and try to go for some Power Whips. It's not a beautiful matchup for you, like you're usually going to lose this matchup here, but it's still going to be fine because as you're going to see here, we can just go ahead and go for the Power Whip. Power Whip is coming through, going to do some decent damage against the opponent. As you can see, we can just let those moves go through. Basically, you kind of want to sacrifice your Lickitung here because you know already that the Nidoqueen in the back is going to be a tricky one for you. Nidoqueen is not going to enjoy this matchup against Steelix. Being basically 3 times resisted with the poison typing is a little bit awkward, where you can still reach a body slam to get the knockout even, and we can win the zero shield scenario. But sadly, in comes the Deoxys defense. This Pokemon is going to be also a little bit of a core breaker for the backline, or in general for the team. Has super effective damage against everything on the team, counters super effective against our lead. Thunderbolt is super effective against our Azumarill, as well as the Psycho Boost is super effective against our Nidoqueen. So Deoxys is kind of a little bit of a trickier one, but it's still going to be fine, as we're going to see the Psycho Boost coming through. The opponent decides to swap out into the Ninetales, and with the Nidoqueen coming in, the opponent had enough. Let's take a look at the next opponent here. Going to have the LilyNiRiain in the lead. This is going to be an interesting one here, as the opponent decides to swap out into the Vigoroth. My swapping here was literally so slow that it was not really ideal for me. Definitely should have swapped a little bit earlier here, but it's going to be fine, as we're going to still go for the Poison Fang. And we just have to hope at this point, as they baited me before, that they don't going to be able to go for a Bulldoze here, but they're just going to go for the Body Slam. We can survive, or we can farm down, so it's not as bad as it could have been if they went for the Bulldoze there. But let's see here, we can go for the Earth Power. This Earth Power is going to be able to get the shield from the opponent, so we can align. And our entire team now is really good against the LilyNiRiain, so we don't really care too much about the charge moves on our Lickitung. They can go for the Sand Tomb, and as we can see, they're going to have the Altaria in the back, which is literally the best possible matchup for me. As you can see here, we're going to be able to just go for the Ice Beam. I can go for the full farm down afterwards, and it's just looking so good for us. We will see here the opponent going for a Sky Attack. I can just still try to go for the full farm down here. They can still go for another charge move. It does not matter. Honestly, it literally does not matter. The opponent has nowhere to go. I can go for some Ice Beams now, and so this game is going to be a very easy one. They're still deciding to use a shield here for whatever reason. Like, they can even knock me out if they want to, but I think I still use I'm actually going to let this move go through, which is just a bait from the opponent again. So yeah, this game is literally over. Azumarill is honestly so underrated in the current meta. I feel like I barely even face it, but like, it's so good for me. So definitely something that you should try out if you have this one. Definitely a lot of people have this one because it was one of the OG Pokemon for PvP. Next matchup against Dugong. Dugong is sadly a little bit worse nowadays because it has Drill Run. Back in the day, I was actually still able to win against Azumarill a lot of times just with the Icy Wind plus Ice Shard, which is kind of wild if you have like Shield the first move or something. So definitely a little bit of an awkward one here, but they decide to go for the Icy Wind, which I'm definitely taking pretty well here, so I can just go for a Play Rough. I should be able to still reach another Play Rough no matter what the opponent tries to do here, and yes, I can still go there. This should get the shield from the opponent if they want to realign, and they are deciding to use a shield. So let's see, we can just let this move go through again. It's going to be another Drill Run, and I still would be able to reach another charge move. So for me, I could even use another shield, but I decided to just leave it be and just go into my Lickitung, go for the full farm down. I know that they're actually not going to get to another charge move. I thought they would get to another charge move, but I can just go for the Body Slam spam at this point. This Body Slam going to do some decent damage. I can swap out, and they're going to have a Shadow Gligar in the back. And I thought this game would be over for me, that I would be able to win this game, because I thought I would be able to just go through a Shadow Gligar with Poison Jab plus Poison Fang, even though it's resisted, with a shield advantage with my Nidoqueen. But it turns out it's not the case, because as you're going to see here, the opponent actually going to be able to go for one more charge move here, and I thought, oh, easily, I can farm down now. They can actually still reach another charge move before I even reach my Poison Fang if I even wanted to. So they can knock me out here. Now it's down to your Lickitung against Machamp. Can we still win this game here with our Lickitung? I'm gonna decide to go for the Power Whip, which does a little bit more damage than the Body Slam here. And this Power Whip is coming through. Let's see if this is going to be enough. It's barely not enough. Can we farm them down? We can farm them down. We can even farm down the Gligar to win this game. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like. And there's going to be another video later on for some leaks that now got kind of revealed for the upcoming season. So definitely stay tuned for this. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.